So, what I'm gonna be doing today is talking about what the difference is between good fruit and bad fruit and how you're supposed to bear fruit. And but one of the daily readings I had was in John 15, beginning of that. And I'll just start reading by verse 1. It says, I am the true vine, and my Father is the gardener. He cuts off every branch in me that bears no fruit, while every branch that does bear fruit he prunes, so that it will be even more fruitful. You are already clean because of the word I have spoken to you. Remain in me as I also remain in you. No branch can bear fruit by itself. It must remain in the vine. Neither can you bear fruit unless you remain in me. I am the vine, you are the branches. If you remain in me and I in you, you will bear much fruit. Apart from me, you can do nothing. If you do not remain in me, you are like a branch that is thrown away. Such branches are picked up, thrown into fire, and burned. If you remain in me, my words remain in you. Ask whatever you wish, and it will be done for you. This is to my Father's glory that you bear much fruit, showing yourselves to be my disciples. So, when he's saying bearing good fruit and talking about the branches, like he cuts off every branch of me that bears no fruit, right? So, saying like the wicked or evil ones that, are cut off, those are the ones that aren't bearing any good fruit. And the fruits of the Spirit is what we're talking about here. And that goes, I think it's talked about in Galatians. And the fruits of the Spirit are like kindness, faithfulness. Oh man, I'm just gonna try to find it real quick. Actually, the thing is Galatians like chapter 5. Um, it should be right here. The fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, forbearance, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Against such things there is no law. And I just read in like my daily devotional here is like, and it says in Proverbs 25:28, a man without self-control is like a city with all its walls torn down. So like, especially as men, you have to have self-control, and especially with all the temptations you have day-to-day basis. That's very important, and you can talk about every single. You can make a video about each fruit of the spirit. Not gonna lie, like love, joy, peace. Like there's so much you could do with that, but I'll just keep it here for now. So it must remain in the vine. The fruit, no branch can bear fruit by itself. It must remain in the vine. Meaning that we can't bear any good fruit with ourselves alone. We have to have, Christ. We have to rely on his strength to remain in us and us in him. Because without that, you're not going to be able to bear those good fruits. And it's also just easier. I mean, you're still going to have harder times, but with Christ, you'll be made even more fruitful because of the grace he gives you and the stuff he's realize he's done for you in your life, you're going to want to reflect that in your day-to-day basis. And so it's just really like powerful because the you have to have the vine, and he's Jesus is saying he is the vine and we're the branches. And it's our, talked about free will in one of the other episodes of our podcast. It's like it's your choice whether or not you're going to bear that good fruit or not, and what you're doing with that and what you're surrendering up to Christ. Um, And this is another verse I highlighted later on in John 15. It says, I have chosen you out of the world. That is why the world hates you. But remember that what I told you, a servant is not greater than his master. If they are persecuted, they will persecute you also. So, like, they persecuted Jesus. You're going to be persecuted. You're going to have times where you feel uncomfortable in sharing your faith, like what I've sort of experienced, but not too crazy. Um, um, but it's like we don't have an excuse to sin. We have all the reason more to try to avoid sin and stay away from that because of what Christ has done for us. Um, and I think that's where people kind of can go wrong. And Proverbs, I swear it has all the answers here. Proverbs 16:2, all a person's ways seem pure to them, but motives are weighed by the Lord. Commit to the Lord whatever you do, and He will establish your plans. So, the fleshly desires, the spirit desires, those can get mixed up too. You can be deceived easily by the enemy, so you have to be careful with that. So, what may seem right and pure to you is also can be, a comfort, like a lie of comfort. Sometimes what you think is so comfortable, you stay in it because it doesn't seem that bad to you. It doesn't seem like it's affecting you in your day-to-day lives. But in reality, it is spiritually, because you could feel so great. You could feel so close with God, and yet your heart's so hardened that you don't even realize that you're far away from Him. And that's why bearing the fruits of the Spirit is where your starting points is. You know, and surrender whatever it is. You're basically past, present, future to Christ, and make an actual intentional effort with Him. And then those fruits of the spirits will naturally and gradually come if you are intentional about your lives day-to-day basis. And I've realized, like, if you ask for daily renewal, like every single day, I feel like that's helped me lately, because we can't go a single day without relying on His strength. So why not, you know, pray about that daily renewal pretty much every morning that I try to. It just helps me and gives me that reminder. Um, and going back to this John 15, I didn't go over this, is that the Father is the gardener and the Son is the true vine. Just let that sink in. The Father is the gardener, Son is the true vine. So the Father, He's the gardener. He's going to be watering everything, making sure everything grows, right? And the Son is the vine, and that's what we're supposed to, that's how we bear the fruits, is through the vine. But without the Father, like He's trying to say that Him and the Father, you can have one or the other. You have to have, three in one. The Holy Spirit isn't directly mentioned here, but you can't have one or the other. If you believe in the Son, you have to also believe in the Father. That's a lot what Jesus preaches upon too, is like the Father is the gardener, the Son is the vine, which allows for us to bear those good fruits. So it was pretty powerful, and that's something that I'm just starting to realize is like, before I'm gonna start doing these videos, is like pray about it and realize that the Holy Spirit needs to speak through me, because what I read, and also John's a great book to read if you're like just starting out. Anyway, but if you let the Holy Spirit lead you, if like you pray about it, Lord, send your Holy Spirit to speak through me in this, and that's what I've kind of gotten through with all these videos lately in the podcast too. Is like, if you make sure the Spirit of truth is guiding you, you're going off basic biblical truth, not basic, but biblical truth, then because what I say, I'm realizing like it can have an impact on people more, whether I think it or not. Um, and I gotta make sure I'm, you know, because you will be judged stricter for it, as it says in James 3:1. Like, I need to make sure I'm giving them, accurate biblical truth. And so making sure I'm bearing good fruit, making sure I'm representing Christ in the right image, in the right way, is, huge with that. So, that being said, like, bearing good fruit and if you don't know if you're bearing bad fruit or if you're bearing good fruit, just ask yourself, pray about it, and, read Galatians too. Like, it says life by the Spirit, and also you could read Romans, chapter 8. Like, it's, if you are walking in the Spirit, you're designed what the Spirit desires, but if you're walking in the flesh, you're designed what the flesh desires. But Paul also writes in Romans 7 is like, I hate what I do, but I do what I hate. Or I do not do what I want to do, but I do what I hate to do. Yeah, take that one. Forget the one that I said before that. But it's like, you can still be walking in the Spirit. You're still going to mess up, right? But if you're desiring what the Spirit desires and you're making it intentional each and every single day, that's the main goal. Because Christ will see your heart posture, and He realizes what you're really trying to do. So you can't hide anything from the Lord. You can't say that you have good fruit on the outside and then not have it on the inside. Like, you can't hide that from Him. So it's just something to keep in mind, and something that when you are bearing good fruit, if you're with Christ, He will continue to make that more fruitful. Like, if you have like say you have the fruit of kindness, and it's just starting out like this. If you are still praying, still developing that relationship with Christ, it'll just continue to keep getting bigger and bigger and grow. And that's just one thing to keep in mind. Like, and the same goes with the bad fruit. If you're a little far away from God and you pick up this like fleshly desire, and you keep like you thinking you're good, and you keep hardening your heart, it's just going to grow bigger and bigger, and it's just going to develop that bigger gap in your heart that I've realized too. It's like through experience. So this is to just encourage anybody, and realize the spirit versus flesh, good fruit, bad fruit, and where you're bearing that, how you're going to grow that fruit, and listening to what the Holy Spirit is trying to lead you to, where you might not feel as comfortable towards. That might be where you're being convicted, and that's probably where God's trying to call you to change. So appreciate y'all for your time, and I hope this helped.